Full of joy and happiness for seeing the self-returns of these my children.
An atmosphere of joy in Zamfara state as Jangebe schoolgirls released.
Any individual who thinks he has any support and who thinks he can undermine this government will have himself to blame at the end of the day.
President Buhari keeps eagle eye on those involved in criminality, directs service chiefs to go after them.
These vaccines are safe, they are very effective and efficacious.
Ray of hope in crushing COVID-19. Nigeria receives first dose of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja. I'll be joined later on by Dotun Ogunyemi from our Lagos studios. A more proactive, decisive and robust plan of action has been unfolded by the National Security Council towards restoring security and stability across Nigeria, as well as nipping in the bud potential threats to peace and prosperity. Already, President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the nation's military and intelligence community to trail, fish out and bring to justice all those directly or indirectly engaged in perpetrating acts of crime and criminality across the country, no matter how highly placed. The National Security Advisor, Babagana Mangudo, who conveyed the President's directive to newsmen after an extraordinary meeting of the National Security Council, said Nigeria will not be allowed to drift into a failed state. Correspondent Adam Sambo has details.
This is the first meeting of the National Security Council since the nation's security architecture was rejigged with the appointment of new service chiefs for the armed forces. President Muhammadu Buhari, who summoned the crucial meeting, is worried that the level of security in the country is cascading for the worst, a situation he described as unacceptable. The meeting, which lasted more than 4 hours, discussed extensively the predominant issues of terrorism and insurgency, banditry, farmers-herders conflicts, and indeed kidnapping, with Jangebe school girls in Zamfara state as the latest victims.
Now, His Excellency the President has approved, based on our recommendation, the imposition and enforcement of a ban on all mining activities in Zamfara state with immediate effect until further notice. He has directed the Honorable Minister of Defense and the National Security Advisor to deploy massive military and intelligence assets to restore normalcy to that part of the country. He has also approved that Zamfara state be declared a no-fly zone with immediate effect.
Consequently, all non-state actors responsible for acts undermining national security and stability across Nigeria have been placed under surveillance by the intelligence agencies following reports of collusion by people from all walks of life.
Any individual who thinks he has any support and who thinks he can undermine this government will have himself to blame at the end of the day. Already the President has given directives to the military and the intelligence organizations to trail and flush out all the people that have been on our watch list. And I can assure you there's quite a handful of people on our watch list. They will be trailed, they will be rooted out, and they'll be brought to book, they'll be prosecuted, and they'll be made an example of. And anybody who wants to use this situation to blackmail the government should have a rethink.
The National Security Advisor maintains that the federal government is not averse to the application of non-kinetic means of addressing the prevailing challenges of security. He was, however, quick to add that the Buhari administration will neither tolerate nor allow any individual or group bring down the country to its knees and put the citizenry in a state of panic, fear, apprehension and mistrust.
The federal government will not hesitate to apply to the fullest its kinetic means to restore normalcy to the country. We will not allow this country to drift into state failure. And with effect from today, the new service chiefs have been given directives to reclaim all areas that have been dominated by bandits, by kidnappers, and other scoundrels and scallywags. I have also asked all the intelligence agencies to collapse all their efforts onto one platform so that with the convergence of effort, we would be able to give the required intelligence to the operational elements of government.
The National Security Council strongly warned that Nigerians assuming the status beyond what they should be and using religion or otherwise to stoke the flames of disorder in Nigeria will have themselves to blame.
The government is very, very serious about this.
From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And just as well, the Senate has confirmed the nomination of the newly appointed service chiefs and urged them to take the war against insurgents and bandits to their enclaves. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Unko reports.
The confirmation of the new service chiefs was preceded by the presentation of the report of the Senate Committee on Defense on the screening of the 4 nominees. Major General Loki Irabo as Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Ibrahim Atahiru, Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral Awal Gambo as Chief of Naval Staff, and Air Vice Marshal Ishaka Amao as Chief of Air Staff.
The intellect, the achievements, and the exploits of these nominees are very well documented in this report.
That these nominees are capable of spearheading our desire, our drive.
We expect them, our armed forces, to take the fight to the insurgents, to take the fight to the bandits.
Older Persons' Rights and Privileges Bill and the Child's Right Act Amendment Bill, which seeks to prohibit persons convicted of attempted rape from working with children, passed 3rd reading.
By excluding certain categories of persons from being employed either as caregivers, teachers, or in other circumstances that may expose or make such a child vulnerable or susceptible to sexual harassment.
The Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigative Professionals of Nigeria Establishment Bill also passed 3rd reading.
We will ensure that corruption, particularly in the public sector, but generally in both private and public sectors, are easily identified and nipped in the bud.
5 bills passed 1st reading. These include the Clean Nigeria Agency Establishment Bill from the National Assembly. Ignatius Unko, NTA News.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has urged authorities to improve the welfare of security personnel, especially those in battlefields and other combat operations. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that this formed part of recommendations of the House Committee on Army following an investigation into the purported resignation of more than 300 soldiers in 2020.
Chairman of the House Committee on Army, Representative Abdulrazak Namda, says findings by the committee reveal that resignation of soldiers occur yearly as they are free to do so after at least 10 years of service. The report of mass resignation, as reported in some sections of the media, the committee noted was misleading.
The Army should continually embark on orientation of soldiers, both old and new, about the reality of their job and the need to be committed to their country. This will reduce the number of soldiers leaving the Army due to loss of interest.
The House, however, stressed that welfare of security personnel and delivery of such packages must be fair and equitable. Plenary adopted a motion from Representative Ahmed Jaha intimating the federal government on the need to secure the release of Pastor Bulus Wikura, abducted by Boko Haram in Chibok, Borno State last December. and the call from Representative Balarabe Salami appealing for the provision of relief materials to victims of banditry in Ilela, Sokoto State. The House has mandated committees on appropriation, finance and public accounts to engage ministries, departments and agencies of government to work out a strategic plan to enhance payments of utility bills as moved by Representative Ujo Kingsley.
MDAs are often accused of not paying utility bills to the bodies responsible for the collection, thereby making it impossible to remit the funds to the government, and this has adverse effects on IGR.
A bill to establish Sustainable Development Fund and a bill to amend National Agency for Population Programs and Development passed second reading. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
No effort will be spared in ensuring that cases of abduction are put to a stop. Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad stated this while receiving students of the Government Girls Science Secondary School, Jangebe, who were abducted last Friday. Sadia Abubakar Tunau has more.
Joy and happiness for seeing the self-returns of these my children.
It was indeed a joyous moment for government and people of Zamfara State as the students of Government Girls Science Secondary School, Jangebe, abducted Friday last week regained their freedom. The girls were joyfully received this morning by Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad alongside his wife Aisha Bello, heads of security agencies and some other officials at Government House Gusau. The governor said the girls were released late yesterday following a combined effort of security agencies, stressing that no ransom was paid to secure their release.
The numbers were kidnapped is 279 and no one was missing. All of the 279 are present here. This is how God worked for us.
He charged the young girls to consider the incident as something destined by Allah and should never discourage them to continue with their education pursuit. One of the released captives who narrated their ordeals while in captivity said they had nearly given up.
It was a terrible experience indeed. We trekked barefooted for many hours into the bush. Some of us fainted along the way, and they carried them on their back. We were exposed to all sorts of torture. In fact, they even threatened to kill all of us. We cannot thank the Almighty Allah as well as the government enough for regaining our freedom.
Though most of the released teenagers look calm, some of them are battling with ailments and trauma resulting from torture they were exposed to while in captivity. The anxiety that hitherto engulfed people in the state over the sad incident is now over as families of the released girls trooped to Government House Gusau to have a glimpse of the children.
Aisha, my honorable daughter. This is my honorable daughter.
The released students are to undergo medical checkup before reuniting with their families. In Gusau, Sadia Abubakar Tunau, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari, in the meantime, has expressed joy over the release of the abducted female students in Zamfara State. The president joins families and the people of Zamfara State in celebrating the release of the students. He, however, called for greater vigilance by the people so that human intelligence could be collected early enough to nip the bandits' plans in the bud. He warned that the time has come to reverse completely the grim and heartbreaking incidents of kidnapping. He warned that ransom payments will continue to prosper kidnapping, urging the police and the military to go after those kidnappers and bring them to justice. And the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, has commended the security agencies for working assiduously to rescue the Jangebe abducted girls. And he says more needs to be done to avoid a reoccurrence of such. He stated this at a solidarity visit to Gusau following the release of the abducted girls. Governor Fayemi, who is in Gusau on behalf of the Nigeria Governors Forum, emphasized the need for the citizenry to collaborate with the security agencies by providing information in order to overcome the security challenges in the country.
We must also acknowledge that there are deeper roots to some of the crimes we are experiencing in the country. And in tackling crime, we should not just invoke the law, we must also address the sociological roots of the crime. Inequality, poverty, which has resulted in desperation in many cases.
And as you have said, the security situation is not just for one person, it's for all of us. And whatever happens, we must come together and solve the problem together.
And staying with security now, troops of Operation Lafia Doli have routed Boko Haram terrorists and their Islamic State of West Africa province counterparts who attempted to infiltrate Dikwa in Dikwa local government area of Borno State. A statement by the Director Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Muhammad Yarima, says the terrorists that stormed the town on gun trucks and motorcycles were repelled by heavy bombardment and firepower by the troops with the support from the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Doli. Consequently, Brigadier General Yarima debunked the reports on social media suggesting that the terrorists attacked a UN base in Borno, trapping 25 aid workers. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Ibrahim Atahiru, has commended the efforts of the troops and the prompt response of the Air Task Force in providing air interdictions throughout the operation. Turning to health now, Nigeria has taken delivery of doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines from the COVAX facility. Kenneth Nanim reports that the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, received the consignment on behalf of the federal government.
The waiting is over. Nigeria now has 3,924,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines from the COVAX facility. On hand to receive the vaccines are members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa.
These vaccines are safe, they are very effective and efficacious, and that I would urge at the time of vaccination and deployment, if you fall into the category that will be vaccinated, make yourself available.
Ministers, international partners and other stakeholders acknowledged the effective leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari to contain the pandemic and pledged commitment to the global fight against coronavirus.
These vaccines now being administered to our citizens is really going to go a long way in cushioning even the humanitarian challenges that we are facing.
The media in particular, you have responsibility to let people know that they should come out and be vaccinated.
The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and NAFDAC, two agencies that will play a significant role in the administration of the vaccines, pledged prompt action to enable commencement of vaccination.
We have to continue our surveillance, our lab, infection prevention and control, because we understand that it will take time to get all Nigerians vaccinated.
Once it gets to the warehouse, we're going to sample to be sure that what is coming from India is of quality.
The PTF is telling Nigerians not to be carried away by these achievements, but to also continue to adhere to the non-pharmaceutical protocols stipulated by PTF to ensure that Nigeria contains the spread of coronavirus. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
I'm being joined now by the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Hanire. Minister, thanks for joining us at Network News.
Thank you for inviting me.
Right, now the vaccines are here. What next?
Well, what next is that we do quality control, make sure that what we get is what we were told we are going to get, and NAFTA could be responsible for doing that, and then we begin the delivery of vaccines.
Well, clarify for us at this point, how many vaccines, how many doses have you received so far?
We have nearly 4 million doses, just a few dozens short of 4 million doses, which have come from the Serum Institute of India, manufactured under license of AstraZeneca.
Right. When are we expecting the next batch, and how will these vaccines be distributed?
We shall be informed when the next batch will come. By that time, we should have been far gone in using up these 4 million doses. The next thing is that the doses with the vaccines will be sent to zonal stores, and from zonal stores they will be transferred to state stores, and from there to directly to where they will be deployed.
Right, initially when there was talk of vaccines, one of the things people talked about was the fact that these vaccines needed extreme cold conditions for storage. Are we okay with that?
Well, not all of them. They are the so-called mRNA vaccines, like Pfizer and Moderna. Those ones require very cold, what we call ultra-cold chain, -80 for the Pfizer and -20 for the Moderna. But the ones we have now do very well with the normal refrigeration at 2 degrees to 8 degrees, and we're happy to have those ones because we do not need to go into extra cost of acquiring deep freezers.
Okay, some people wonder how long do you take them out of the storage and they're administered? How long? What's the period you have to do that?
Because these ones, because they're at normal refrigeration temperature, they're just a few hours and you're done with them.
Okay.
So you do not need to worry about very deep freeze.
So who are getting the vaccines to start with?
We start first of all with frontline health workers. So that's the ones who are exposed to infection because they are the ones treating COVID patients. It makes sense. And also if any one of them falls sick and has to be isolated, you can easily run short of manpower. So it makes sense everywhere that they're giving the first doses, they're giving first priority. That is a WHO recommendation. It's been done by all countries in the world, and we shall do the same. Then we take on the elderly and also those who have vulnerable diseases predisposing. We know from statistics that the majority of fatalities come from the class of the elderly above the age of 50. And also those who have vulnerabilities like high blood pressure or diabetes or kidney disease or things like that.
Now, in administering these vaccines, what's the position for those who had contracted COVID-19 and had recovered? Would they take the vaccines too?
Well, generally, you will expect that they have antibodies, but there is not going to be any determining of who has antibodies or not, or determining of who has had it or not. So generally, there will be no screening of who has had it or not. But if someone has definitely said that, yes, I just came out of the isolation center, they might be deferred for a while, but definitely it's going to go to all citizens.
Are we prepared for eventualities? Like some have been known to react to vaccines. It's a standard phenomenon all over the world.
Yes, those are what we call adverse events. There are very rare cases of persons who will show some adverse events, like some might have some fainting, some might have some rash, some might have some itches or whatever. They are generally minor for this vaccine, and rarely do you have what we call anaphylactic shock, where they actually have a real serious event that might require medical attention.
All right. Just one quick one, Minister. What's the cost of all of this?
The cost of this?
Yes.
The cost of these particular vaccines is at no cost to us.
All right. You're receiving them at no cost?
At no cost to Nigeria.
Right. Okay.
They are donations from the COVAX facility.
Okay.
We pay for the cost of deployment and managing.
All right. Minister, thank you for coming on.
Thank you
and
for inviting
we'll
me.
keep an eye on the vaccinations as they go on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. We'll take a short break here. When we return, there'll be more on Network News.
It's a happy feeling when receiving all of the love coming from family.
So many recipes, creating memories every day and every night. Bonding families, yeah.
60 years of joy, so much love, so much fun. Quality, golden penny is you, golden penny is me. Golden pennies at the heart of the family. Golden penny is you, golden penny is me. Golden pennies at the heart of the family. Golden penny is you,
Nigeria is too big a nation to have just a few people making decisions. We all have to get involved. We all have to be heard. People always talk like there are two Nigeria, the government and the people, when in actuality the people are the government. Fixing Nigeria isn't a one-man program. It is all of ours collectively. Therefore, we must all get involved by participating actively in the system that brings forth good leadership. I would like to see a Nigeria where the bond we share is stronger than our tribal, gender, age, class, and religious differences. A Nigeria where everybody's voice counts. Get involved. Register now to join the All Progressives Congress. I am Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State, and I approve this message.
It is morning, a new beginning. As you prepare everyone for the day ahead, just anything is not enough. Only you make breakfast special, creamy, tasty, with vitamins and nutrients we need for a delightful, healthy start.
So start your day right with Hollandia Evap. Right nutrients for a healthy breakfast.
John, you can use our toilet now.
Ew! My mommy said I should always use a toilet that is cleaned with Hypo toilet cleaner. James will bite my bum bum.
John, what's the problem? Use Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Introducing the new and affordable Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Kills germs and deodorizes your toilet.
Hypo, Hypo.
It is time for celebration. Oh. 30 years bustling with goodness. The challenge can never ever stop us. You can't underrate us. You can't underrate. Water Guinness, bustling with so much greatness. Water Guinness, enjoy a world of
tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, despite assurances of abundant supply of petrol and no plans to increase the pump price, petrol queues which suddenly resurfaced in Abuja have continued, leaving motorists spending hours to get the product. Lydia Sampson was out earlier in the day for a situation report.
Long queues in petrol stations often heighten anxiety of motorists to top up the fuel in their vehicles. This often creates artificial scarcity because some petrol marketers catch in on the higher demand to start hoarding the products. While some petrol stations are still selling at 163 naira per litre, the same cannot be said of many other stations. A cross-section of motorists share their experience.
The planned increase of petroleum price, and because of that, these people are holding it so that they will have a very good margin when they eventually increase the price within the week, which they expected.
If there's a deregulation, actual deregulation, we shouldn't, that should be down. It has not gone down a bit, it's only going up.
It looks better. Maybe because people got for somehow yesterday out of long queue.
163. That's the official price. Although I can't say we are running out because there is a consignment that is on the way coming.
The Department of Petroleum Resources says it is already clamping down on the fault in stations.
The product is available. It's just that people are doing panic buying. And yes, some few isolated independent marketers are trying to hoard, but we're on top of that.
DPR says there shall be no sacred cow, as economic sabotage from any marketer will attract stipulated sanctions. It will be recalled that with the deregulation of the downstream, the market is based on economic principle of demand and supply. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria and Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria have staged what is described as the world's biggest rice pyramid, celebrating 5 years of the Anchor Borrowers Program. This is coming as the Central Bank of Nigeria is set to finance the resuscitation of the commodity exchange market with 50 billion naira. Musa Baba Aliu, who is in Birnin Kebbi for the festival, reports that the pyramids depict how farmers overcame the 2020 floods which ravaged and destroyed rice farms in states in northwest Nigeria.
If you say this is the world's biggest rice pyramid, you might not be wrong, because no record has so far proven otherwise. 12 of the 13 pyramids house more than 30,070 kilograms of rice paddy, while each of the two in the middle contains 50,000 bags of 70 kilograms of the commodity. The rice is part of the CBN Anchor Borrowers Recovery Program.
The Nigerian millers will start evacuating this paddy, you see, for forward to their rice mills to process and sell to Nigerians at a subsidized rate, all courtesy of President Muhammadu Buhari and the CBN governor.
So the more output that we produce as a country, the more it goes into ensuring that prices are stable. We started in Niger, you can see the pyramids here. From here we're going to Gombe and also to Ekiti, and then we'll end up in Abuja.
The Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele described the Anchor Borrowers Program as a successful tool that changed and revolutionized rice production in Nigeria. He said the Apex Bank, through Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, supported 221,450 farmers that cultivated 221,450 hectares for the first phase of the dry season farming activities.
In support of the growth recorded in this drive to attain self-sufficiency in food production and to moderate prices of agricultural commodities, Mr. President has approved the resuscitation of Nigeria's commodity exchange, and the CBN, in partnership with other stakeholders, will be committing at least 50 billion naira to this initiative.
The governor of Central Bank is stimulating the economy. I think he is a very silent operator.
The second phase of the program was launched at the ceremony, targeting 1 million tons of rice. In Birnin Kebbi, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister and Chairman DSO Ministerial Task Force Team, Lai Mohammed, says only rich content can successfully drive the digitization process. The minister stated this at the inaugural meeting of the task force in Abuja. Anthony Forsen reports.
Pointing out that the task force cannot afford to fail ahead of the impending massive rollout across the country, the minister was emphatic about taking the issue of content serious.
The purchase of the set-top boxes by Nigerians will depend on the richness of the content offered. Before now, we either gave out the boxes free or at subsidized rates. But now that the project is being commercially driven, the sale of STBs will depend on the content.
He was particular about sports, entertainment, movies, news, both local and foreign, as well as children's programs, which are indispensable. The minister equally noted that looking inwards will help developing the Nigerian brand.
We must also tap into the great opportunity offered by this project to help popularize the local football league. We can work with the Nigerian Professional Football League, the NPFL, to have their weekly matches shown live. I have no doubt that they will be willing to work with us in this regard.
While these are being worked on, the need for massive publicity for the project, he added, is desirable as millions of Nigerians are still unaware of the true essence of the DSO project and the opportunities therein. Already, the minister said the process of implementing the audience measurement scheme, a critical component of the success of the DSO project, will be kickstarted soon to guide all content owners and channels to be able to get commensurate benefits for their efforts. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
A flyover constructed at Rumogwa, Port Harcourt, Rivers State, has been inaugurated for use. Former Governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwankwaso, who performed the inauguration, was pleased with the quality of infrastructural projects executed by Governor Nyesom Wike. Ogedi Nyekwere reports.
The Rumogwa Flyover Bridge is the last among the triple flyover bridges embarked upon by the Rivers State government in 2019. The bridge, which is sited at the famous first and second artillery junctions known for its attendant traffic congestion, will not only help in free vehicular and human traffic, but will save man-hour lost on the road, enhance economic activities, and change the landscape of the area.
Let me tell the people of Rivers State today, in the next 2 weeks, Julius Berger will come back and sign a contract with us where we are going to build a cancer and cardiovascular disease center, in the best in this country. And they will complete it in 14 months. I've told you, I'm not going to leave any project for anybody.
Former Governor of Kano State, Rabiu Kwankwaso, extolled the sterling leadership qualities of Governor Wike, noting that since he assumed the leadership of the state in 2015, there are conspicuous positive changes.
Let me also take the opportunity to thank you for paying a lot of attention on education. And therefore, I encourage you, Your Excellency, to keep on selecting first-class contractors so that posterity will judge you.
The Rivers State government had earlier signed a contract with Julius Berger Nigerian PLC for the construction of the 7th and 8th flyover bridges to be sited at Ikwere Road, Oluobasanjo and Romo Kalabo, with a promise to complete them in 12 months. In Port Harcourt, Ogedi Nyekwere, NTA News.
Time now to join Dotun Oguyemi in Lagos for more reports. Dotun.
Thank you, Cyril. Within 24 hours, the Nigeria Police Force, Lagos State Command, arrested 172 persons for defying COVID-19 protocols. It is a renewed rigor which the force is extending to ensure public compliance, aside its responsibility of enhancing a crime-free society. Diana Ajale reports.
Despite the second wave of COVID-19 still being very much around, these young men and women reportedly gathered at Clubhouse in violation of safety protocols put in place by the federal government. They were picked up by the Lagos State Police Command team in Clubhouse in Victoria Island area around 3 in the morning over the weekend.
They violated the law of the state, and the law will take its course. That is, as they are here now, so they be charged to court, and whatever the court takes, so it's what we are going to comply.
As at the time of this report, the owner of the clubhouse where the arrests were made is still at large, but the police commissioner pledged that he will be apprehended and charged to court. He, however, wants the public to avoid all kinds of crimes and comply with the appropriate measures put in place by relevant authorities to curb the spread of coronavirus. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
The federal government's efforts to get more youth involved in agriculture, especially fish production, is gathering momentum with the introduction of a homegrown technology in the fish smoking to interest youths in the sector. Adeni Itaiwo reports that the business that was carried out using unrefined method from time immemorial is now becoming attractive to youths who are leveraging new technology.
Fish makes up 40% of protein intake in Nigeria, with available statistics indicating 13.3 kilogram fish consumption per person per year. It is also a means of livelihood for many who work in the fish value chain. As one of the age-long methods of preserving fish from decay and adding some flavor to it, smoking fish on a grill by exposing them to smoke from smoldering wood often leave those who do the processing with dirty soot, while there is also the risk of inhaling smoke that may damage the lungs and even cause cancer.
So many people love smoked fish, despite the fact that the method of smoking it is not hygienic as it should be. The one you see in the market cannot be exported.
Sequel to its success in boosting fish production by facilitating youth involvement in aquaculture, the next intervention by the federal government is to tap into the abundant fish resources in the southwest and promote interest in modern and safer method of fish production using the smoking king technology.
You go to the supermarkets, you find it nicely packed. So why not? The youth that feels, oh, I want to do something special, I want to do something extra for myself, will definitely gain a lot, because by the time it is not messy.
Until now, Maureen Adebisi knew next to nothing about fish smoking, but that is about to change for her and 19 other women and youths drawn from Southwest Geopolitical Zone who are now undergoing a techno-entrepreneurship development training on fish smoking.
I should be able to know how to do the processing well and then have a nice packaging that even when others see, they will even be surprised to know that I did it myself.
And with this kind of business, to be an opportunity for me to start my own business on my own.
Just as hoped by the federal government, the participants are optimistic that the new fish smoking method will help to improve public health and boost rural and urban industrialization in the zone. In Lagos, Adini Taiwo, NTN.
And that's it from here. Let's now take a break. Network News continues shortly.
We just having a good time, and I'm feeling so good tonight.
Where you did? I dey come now. You go see me now. You go.
Call your party and everybody, yeah. Make we start to the corner.
Where you did now? You go see me now.
Everybody they dance.
Where you did now? You go see me now. I'm fine, sir. Give me a surprise.
Hey, where you at? You go Mexico, you go Jericho, I go let you go.
Hello, how are you?
Tell us one truth nobody knows.
I like to steam it from my mama pot.
The best data plans in town. Dial *777#.
By the magical coast of the Atlantic, the luxurious residential towers with contemporary interiors that accentuate a genuine sense of serenity and contentment, featuring world-class amenities and social areas, where everyone can spend the best times from the comfort of home. For those who seek the best shape, and the little precious ones who do not hide but always seek. Excellence is an idea significantly resembled in the new coastal gem, which offers invincible opportunities of fine living and investment. Invest in Paramount Twin Towers by Grenadines Homes. Live the excellence.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Go.com.
We're back in Abuja now. Global economic outlook and oil market prospects continue to show signs of improvement, just as Nigerian stocks continue to record mixed gains. Let's join Benny Adams for more on business news. Benny, oil prices are on the rise. That could be good for producers, but I just leave it at that. It might not be across board for other services, right?
You're so very right, sir. Thank you. Good to have you on the business side.
Ahead of the 27th Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee meeting and the 14th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting scheduled for Wednesday, OPEC Secretary General Mohamed Sanusi Barkindo has emphasized the need to stay the course on restoring sustainable oil market stability, just as global economic outlook and oil market prospects continue to show signs of improvement.
We have come a long way from a year ago. The days of GDP and oil demand figures being in the red because of the pandemic-induced shock appear to be behind us. Yet, Mr. Chairman, we must emphasize in strong terms cautious optimism. Cautious optimism.
Capital market investors lost 122.43 billion naira as NSE All-Share Index dips by 0.59% amid renewed sell pressure at the close of market today. The market closed at 39,697.62 basis points as against 0.33% appreciation recorded previously. Market breadth closed negative as Academy led 17 gainers as against 24 losers, topped by M-Benefit at the end of today's session. An improved performance when compared with previous outlook. Market turnover also closed negative as volume moved down by 59.08% as against 7.24% uptick recorded in the previous session. Zenith Bank, United Capital, and M-Benefit were the most active to boost market turnover. Nestle and Zenith topped market value list, just as Better Glass leads the list of active stocks that recorded impressive volume spike at the end of today's session. Well, that is business news. Cyril, it's over to you.
All right. Keep watching the stocks.
Sure.
Thank you. Right. The Nigeria Labour Congress National Executive Council meeting has called on President Muhammadu Buhari not to allow the ongoing attempt by the National Assembly to move the national minimum wage from exclusive to concurrent legislative list. Labour is planning a mass protest across every State House of Assembly if deliberations on this continue without a public hearing. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
The ratification of Convention 26 of the International Labour Organization in 1961 gave a statutory effect by the signing into law the national minimum wage by Nigeria in 1981. This signaled the adoption of a global standard which remained on exclusive list of the nation's constitution. NLC therefore considered the bill, which already passed second reading at the House of Representatives, as an attempt to undermine Nigeria's working class. Labour is of the view that national minimum wage is a product of negotiation and any bill should be subjected to a public debate.
NEC buttressed that a multiplicity of national minimum wage will serve to create a stagnation of labour market, which could weaken national economic growth and cohesion.
NLC also frowned at the current hoarding and scarcity of petroleum motor spirit.
NEC called on relevant regulatory agencies of government to rise up to the protection of the interests of the majority of Nigerians from the exploitative hands of market forces who are bent on making maximal profit from the suffering of fellow Nigerians.
The National Executive Council of the NLC also rejected attempt of constitutional amendment to allow for establishment of State Judicial Council. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
The Northeast Development Commission says the reconstruction and rehabilitation processes of the Northeast region to restore livelihoods and open up trade links is significant for sustained development of the areas affected by insurgency. Managing Director of the Commission, Mohammed Gouni Alkali, stated this at the flag-off of the NEDC interventions in Adamawa State. Yusuf Jika reports.
Actual flag off of the construction and rehabilitation of roads and 3 bridges of Kudzum, Worongayandi and Dilchim destroyed by Boko Haram will no doubt restore and provide economic opportunities to the communities in Adamawa and Borno states. The Managing Director, Northeast Development Commission, Muhammad Koni, said the commission is collaborating with the Ministry of Works and Housing and have finalized arrangement for the commencement of the construction of the roads and bridges in addition to construction of paved roads to ensure alignment to prevent wash-off after completion. Aside from the road interventions, the Commission also presented starter packs to NEDC ICT pioneer trainees and the donation of personal protective equipment, as well as agricultural inputs to organized groups and security agencies. Governor Amadou Marufentri of Adamawa State commended the Northeast Development Commission for rekindling the hope of the region and meeting to the expectation of the people. A cross-section of the Commission's beneficiaries said the gesture will go a long way in improving their living standards. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTN News.
And just a bit on the political scene now, an 8-man Constitution Review Committee of the All Progressives Congress has been inaugurated to commence the process of reviewing its constitution. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
It is the process of carrying out another task by the Governor Maimala Buni-led Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee. This time, it is the task of reviewing the party's constitution as a legal, principal, and political document to meet the growing demands of party faithful.
Our party has grown quite large in the last few years and is poised to become the largest party in the continent with the ongoing membership registration. Hence, we must have a set of laws that is near perfect.
Professor Tahir Maman is the chairman of the APC Constitution Review Committee, expected to carry out its function within 1 month.
A vibrant constitutional foundation is fundamental for certainty and clarity of power, functions, processes, and privileges in the institution.
This 105-page 2014 amended constitution of the party has remained the only legal document of the party, and it has a month to remain relevant. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
We'll take another quick break. The news continues shortly.
After a tough loss in London last weekend, Burnley will take on another North London club as they seek to get back to winning ways. This Saturday, it's Burnley versus Arsenal on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
African nations converge on Abuja for volleyball tournaments. Samuel Johnson is our guide on sports update.
President of the Nigeria Volleyball Federation, Musa Nimrod, has expressed concern over the impact of COVID-19 on the upcoming Africa Under-18 and Under-19 Volleyball Championships scheduled for Abuja, Nigeria, with the withdrawal of some countries due to the dreaded virus. Reports indicate that Central African Republic and Tunisia have withdrawn, while some countries have arrived for the championship. From the continental scene, group opponents of Nigeria's Enyimba Football Club of Aba, El Setif of Algeria, will play Orlando Pirates on match day 1 in Ghana. El Setif announced Monday evening that they have received approval from the Ghanaian government and Football Association. Pirates will thereafter host Enyimba on match day 2 of the tournament. Action returns in the Nigeria Women Football League with match day 8 fixtures across the country. On Wednesday, FC Robo plays host to Dream Stars. Rivers Angels will tackle Royal Queens, while Sunshine Queens face Pelican Stars. In the English Premier League, Week 29 fixtures slated for Wednesday will see Sheffield United continue its struggle to escape relegation when it takes on Aston Villa. Burnley tackles Leicester City, while Crystal Palace play host to Manchester United. In another news, the sports fraternity in Lagos are excited about the reopening of the National Stadium for sporting activities after about 10 months of closure.
It's good to be back.
Body have changed because they don't train again, but we thank God they're open stadium.
The National Edifice welcomed various sports academies and other sports enthusiasts. With sports update, Samuel Johnson, NTA News.
Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello has announced the death of the Emir of Kagara, Alhaji Salihu Tanku, at the age of 91. The governor expressed shock over the news and condoled with the Council of Chiefs and family members. Meanwhile, President Muhammad Buhari extends heartfelt condolences to the royal family, the government and people of Niger State on the demise of Alhaji Salihu Tanku, Emir of Kagara. The president joins the Echunupe and Chairman Council of Traditional Rulers, Alhaji Yahya Abubakar, as well as the people of Kagara Emirate, in mourning the passing of the first-class emir who guided his community with dignity and dedication throughout his 30 years on the throne. He prayed Allah to grant the soul of the deceased eternal rest. And the death has been announced of Nenna Mary Mbagu, a retired Assistant Controller General of Immigration, who died on the 12th of December 2020 at the age of 66. The family says a wake will hold in her honor on the 12th of March at 6:30 p.m. at her family residence in Umukoro, Umuariam, Obo local government area in Imo State. Line in State will also be at the residence on the 13th of March from 8 a.m. and a church service will hold at Christ the King Catholic Church at 9 a.m. The interment will take place at her country home with a reception immediately after. And that concludes Networked News tonight. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Cyril Stover. Good night.
NTA Tuesday Live